Hello everyone, welcome to my course, Taiwan Society Today. My name is Yuhua Chen. I am an associate professor in Akita International University. So it is my pleasure for me to talk about one of my favorite courses in AIU, Taiwan Society Today. There are several reasons I like this course. Number one, because many people in Japan they like Taiwan very much. So this is the survey that Japanese government conduct to look into which countries and is the country that people in Japan like the most. And as you can see, most people in Japan they like Taiwan, and Taiwan can be say the country that the Japanese people like the most compared to other countries in this region. And this friendship toward Taiwan not only we can see in the Japanese society, but also in Taiwan society as well. This is another survey that conducted by the Japanese government that looking to the people in Taiwan, their impression on the countries around Taiwan. And as you can see, Japan has been always the number one country that Taiwanese people like the most compared to Korea, China, and even United States. So the friendship between Taiwan and Japan is one important reason I like this course. And the other reason is we have many Taiwanese exchange students from Taiwan exchange to AIU, and also Taiwan is another very popular destination for international study. So that is another reason I like this course, Taiwan Society Today. So today, let me teach you two important things. Number one, let me show you the Taiwan profile. So number two, introduce you some important features of a Taiwan society. So Taiwan, its full name is a Republic of China, ROC. And this island nation is surrounded by four bodies of water, right? East China Sea on the north, and the South China Sea in the north, in the south and in the north. And then Taiwan Strait on the left-hand side, and the Pacific Ocean on the right-hand side. And I know many of you already know where Taiwan is, but it is because this geographical location that can determine the fate, the history of Taiwan. So, for example, it is because Taiwan is at a northern point of the South China Sea. So, when the Westerners, like the Dutch, like Portuguese, when they came to Asia to trade with China and Japan, and Taiwan became a very wonderful destination for doing business. So, Taiwan was colonized by Dutch and Spaniard before. And also Taiwan, because Taiwan is very close to China. So when China tried to expand its territory from the land to the sea, and Taiwan became an important place it wants to conquer. And same thing, because Taiwan is in the southern point of the East China Sea. So when Japan tried to expand its territory, right during the Meiji Restoration, so Taiwan became one of the colony of Japanese Empire. And to this day, because Taiwan is in the western part of the Pacific Ocean, so during the Cold War to this day, Taiwan became a key ally of the United States to against the expansion of the communism in Asia. So this geographic location of Taiwan is very important because it shows the history of Taiwan and probably the future of Taiwan as well. And have a guess, which country is the country that close to Taiwan the most in terms of geography? The answer, not China, but Japan. Have you been to Yonaguni Islands? Right, if the weather is good, right, you can see Taiwan Island from Yonaguni Island because the distance between these two, Yonaguni and Taiwan is just around 100 kilometers. And a bit about the size of this island, the Taiwan Island. The size of it is around 36,000 square kilometer, and that is a very small island. In terms of size, I mean, we have about 200 countries in the world, and Taiwan rank 136 in the world, and only three times of Akita prefectures. So Taiwan is a relatively small island, right? And if you've been to Taiwan, you know there's a central mountain range in the middle of Taiwan, kind of can cut Taiwan into half, yeah, from the western part and the eastern part. So this central mountain range is very critical because it can kind of adjust the climate of Taiwan. So for example, every time when there's a typhoon coming from the south to the north of Taiwan and rotate counterclockwise, so the western part of Taiwan can be protected by the central mountain range, so suffer less the rainfall. And during the winter, when the cold front mass come all the way from the Chinese mainland to Taiwan, right, the Central Mountain Range can protect the eastern part of Taiwan from this cold mass. So during the winter, the eastern part of Taiwan is way much more warmer than western part of Taiwan. Right, so this Central Mountain Range is very critical to adjust the overall climate around Taiwan and then its population. Taiwan is a country with only about 23.5 millions, around 23.5 millions. And the size of it is just almost the same size of that of Australians, right? And if you look into the composition of these populations, so majority has been always the Han Chinese, right? So 95.4% of people in Taiwan, they are all Han Chinese. So that's why sometimes scholars called Taiwan, Singapore, and Hong Kong as so-called the Greater China region, 叫做大中华, right? 大中华. And there are also some Aborigines in Taiwan, right? Taiwan 原住民, just like Japan, just like Australia. So the overall population of Aborigine in Taiwan is only about 2.4 populations. But although the size is very small, but they are the true ruler of this island since several thousand years ago. Several thousand years ago. And the newest immigrant to Taiwan is people, especially people who live in Southeast Asia, like the Philippines, the Vietnam, and like Malaysia, like Indonesia, and also China as well. Those are people who keep migrating to Taiwan to settle down the life in this island. And over the generation and the generation, Taiwan can be say ethnic melting pot of ethnic melting pot because those different ethnicity they all blend in with each other and all use the same language called the Mandarins. So today, if you have a chance to visit Taiwan, sometimes it's a little bit difficult to tell the difference between those different ethnicities, Han Chinese, Aborigines, and the new immigrants. And finally, in administration sense, so there are two provinces in Taiwan. One is called the Taiwan province, the other is called the Fujian province, and controls some of the islands around the Chinese coast. And the biggest city in Taiwan, right? If you want to travel to Taiwan, those are places that you may want to go. The biggest one from the north to the south is Taipei, over here, New Taipei, right? And Taoyuan and Taichung, right? Tainan and Kaohsiung, right? Six municipalities. Those are the places that with most of populations in Taiwan. And then goes down to the next administration level is counties, and then townships, districts, village, and the neighborhoods. And when we say Taiwan in political sense, we refer it to as a country, and not only about Taiwan, but also about those islands administered, controlled by the Taiwanese government, like Machu Islands, Wuchou Islands, and the Kinmen Island along the Chinese coast, right, and the Pescadore, Chinese name called it Penghu, right, in the middle of the Taiwan Strait. And there's also one island in the South China Sea. We call it Dongsha Islands or Paratas. And in the north, right, the biggest islands in the South China Sea is called the Natuna or Taiping Island. It is also controlled and administered by the Taiwanese government since many decades ago. So again, when we say Taiwan in a political sense, we not only refers to the island Taiwan, but also those islands administered, controlled by the Taiwanese government. And finally, as you may have remember, I mentioned Taiwan is a very small island with a very few populations. But if you look at the Taiwanese government's achievement, that can say is very amazing, very amazing. For example, score very high in terms of global freedom score. There are so many international organizations or agencies do the ranking in this kind, try to rank the global freedom among those countries in the world. So we have about 200 countries in the world, but it doesn't matter which ranking or indicator you are looking into, like freedom of speech, freedom of religions, freedom of association, freedom of medias, but it doesn't matter which ranking, which survey you look into. Taiwan has been always ranked as the top of this world, right? And also provide the best quality for life for foreigners. Internations is an organization that try to rank the places in the world, countries in the world, how good they are for foreign residents, right? So it measure a number of different life aspects like salaries, like leisure, like social securities, like medical care service, and so on. And Taiwan has been always at the top of the world. So in 2021, it was ranked by internationals as the number one in the world that the most welcome by the foreigners. And also in terms of its economic power, right? Taiwan can be say one of the G20s in the world, although it's a very small island with a relatively few populations, but its economy is kind of very amazing because right now it produces most of the computer chips in the world. So right now, what you are using, like your computers, your cell phone, your screens, or the bike you are using, or the clothes you are wearing, right? Most of them, they're all produced in Taiwan, right? Which contribute to the GDP of Taiwanese government. That can be ranked as one of the biggest one in the world. And if we rank the Taiwanese economy by GDP per capita, right, the salary of every Taiwanese individual is even higher. Can be say the highest in Asia, much better than people in these regions, other people in these regions. And finally, so some of you may be very interesting in this achievement. That is, Taiwan become the very first country in Asia legalize same-sex marriage. So currently, there are 10, 15 something country in the world legalize same-sex marriage, and Taiwan is the very first one to legalize men or female and females to get married in the countries. So those are all important achievements made by Taiwan, although Taiwan is a very small country with a very small territory and population. Right, and finally, please let me introduce three key features of Taiwan society. Number one is Taiwan is a place full of historical legacies. So the picture in here shows you the history of Taiwan. The sovereignty has been changed and changed and changed over the past 400 years. So at the very beginning, the ruler of the Taiwan were all Aborigines before 1624. And then after 1624, as I mentioned in earlier, Right, Spaniards and the Dutch, they all came to Asia to trade with China and Japan. That's why they colonized Taiwan in from the north and also from the south. So today, if you travel to Taiwan, you still can see some Spanish castles or Dutch castles in Taiwan. And then after that is the arrival of Han Chinese during the Ming Dynasty, start from 1662. And then Manchus, right? Manchus, they were ruler of China's Qing dynasty, right? Manchus control this island start from 1684. And after that, after the First Sino-Japanese War, I believe some of you may remember this war between China and Japan, right? So Japan can have Taiwan after this war, and that's why Taiwan been to 50 years of Japanese colonizing era. And that's why some people in Taiwan they can still speak a very good Japanese, especially for the older generation, and some of them are still very familiar with Japanese culture. And also, some languages in Taiwan they are still using Japanese language, like lingo in Japan refers to apple, but lingo in Taiwanese also, I mean, apple in Taiwan we still call it lingo as well. And then after the Japanese ruler left, it was Han Chinese came to Taiwan once again after 1949, and then all the way to 1914, from 1945 all the way to 1949. So the thing is, because Taiwan has a very interesting history, right? Let me use this term, interesting. It was occupied, colonized by powers from the west and also powers from the east. So this is an island really full of a lot of history legacies. And also because of its history, there are some the diversified identities in among the Taiwanese going on today. Right. So, if today you ask your friend in Japan, saying who you are, which identity that you identify, most of them they will say Japanese, of course. But if you ask your friend in from Taiwan, only about 16 something people in Taiwan they will say they are Taiwanese. They are Taiwanese, but only 16 something. The thing is, because Taiwan is a place that be colonized by so many different powers in the past, so it results in some kind of problem of identify who they are. Some people in Taiwan they still identify themselves as Chinese, although this percentage has been very low. And some of them gradually recognize they are Taiwanese, and some of them say we are both Taiwanese and Chinese. So the data over here is the survey conducted by Zhengzhi University, National Zhengzhi University. So it traces the overall change of the people in Taiwan, the identity, who they really are. And as you can show, as you can see, so more and more gradually from 1992 all the way to today, more and more people in Taiwan identify they are Taiwanese only. But although they identify they are Taiwanese only, the percentage is relatively small than other countries, right? And still, there are 30 something people say they are Taiwanese and Chinese at the same time. And for very few of them, around 4% and 3% people in Taiwan say they are Chinese. So this is second important feature of Taiwanese society. And finally, is Taiwan society is a very politically vibrant. Do you vote in Japan? One problem in Japan is people they do not really vote. Although Japan is a democracy, and especially for younger generation, then they tend not to exercise their voting right. But Taiwan is very different, right? The voting rate in Taiwan sometimes can as high as 70, 80%, right? 70 to 80%. And especially for younger generation, they are very political active. So over the decades, there are so many large-scale protests going on in Taiwan society. They are all organized by younger generations, asking for a number of political agendas Like in 2012, they want to have a much more higher media freedoms. So let's ask for media freedom from Taiwanese government, right? This protest called the anti-media monopoly movement. And in 2014, the Sunflower Movement was again organized by younger generation of people in Taiwan at the college level, high school level, and they asked him for a much more economy, reduce their economic reliance on the Chinese market. And then anti-black box curriculum movement took place in 2015. Right, there was at the time people in Taiwan, high school, right, like in your age, they asking for much more professionalism in the history textbook. And recently in 2025, there was a huge, large level of protest called the Great Recall Wave. The people in Taiwan, they are asking those lawmakers in Taiwan, they take much more responsibility. They want to recall those lawmakers who they deem they are not very responsible in terms of lawmakings. So the point is, uh, when they are protests, now those students, those younger generation, they have always be driven by the most important factor, that is China, right? As you may know, China want to unify Taiwan by force. So every time when people in Taiwan feeling like Chinese government is going to control Taiwan or influence the freedoms of the Taiwan society, then every time and they will start to protest against the Taiwanese government, asking Taiwanese government to be much more accountable to protect the societies they are living in. So, politically vibrant is another important feature of Taiwan society. So let's have a recap. Number one feature of Taiwan society is a society full of multiple historical legacies. Number two is a society with a diversified identities. Finally, it's a very political vibrance. People are very political active, right? So these are all things that I want to introduce to you today in this lecture, and I hope I can see you in person in AIU. Then I can talk about more issues going on in the Taiwan society today. So thank you very much for your watching, and hope I can see you in the future.